Folks, Derek Q. Sanders here. I wrote a post a couple days ago, and I had somebody reach out to me and ask me to elaborate or expound on the post in a video. So I'm going to read the post to you and then I'll expound on it. This was on October the 14th. I posted, You will never experience true intimacy in a superficial relationship. Sex out of proper context is just a workout with an emotional release. And just briefly, what I meant by that is, let me define my terms. Intimacy. People usually use the word intimacy and sex interchangeably. They're not interchangeable. Those words are mutually exclusive. I think a lot of times people like to say we were intimate because it sounds better than saying we had sex. It sounds more romantic. It's a more palatable word than to say we had sex, but they're not the same thing. The word intimacy means to know a person on a deeper level. You can have sex with a person that you don't know at all, that you have no type of deeper knowledge of. It's just somebody that you can be physically attracted to. So when I say you'll never experience true intimacy in a superficial relationship, what I mean by that is you will never have a relationship of depth where you are truly known by somebody when your relationship is built upon superficial things, when it's primarily what that person looks like. For a guy, if it's a woman who's just fine, and that's pretty much it. The basis of that relationship is she looks good. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being physically attracted to someone. That's the first base for everybody, the starting point, because you don't know anything else about a person but what they look like and if you find them attractive. Nothing wrong with that. But when that's the whole basis of the relationship, it's superficial. Or for a woman, it's a guy that she doesn't really like, but maybe he has a good job or he's willing to do a bunch of things for her because he's trying to gain her interest. That's superficial. And you will never have true intimacy in superficial relationships. You will never be truly known. And all of us have a desire to be truly known by another person. The second line was sex out of proper context is just a workout with an emotional release. So the proper context for those of us who are believers, obviously, is a marital covenant, a sacred marital covenant. And sex outside of a marital covenant is just a workout with emotional release. So yeah, you get some physical exercise. It'll feel good and you'll get an emotional release. But that's all it is. And the other thing that she asked about, she asked me to expound on why a woman should wait. A woman should wait to protect herself. Unfortunately, a woman should not have to protect herself. She shouldn't. But unfortunately, all men are not good men. All men are not bad men either. Let me make that plain. We're not all bad men, but there are some out there. And unfortunately, a woman has to protect herself just in case she's in an environment or she's involved with somebody who she doesn't know yet, who may not be a good guy. And what happens often is ladies feel pressured to have sex with men, even if it goes against their beliefs, because they feel like if I don't have sex with this guy, it's all these other women out here that he can get it from, and if I don't give it to him, he's going to get it elsewhere. That's an unfortunate way of looking at things, because if you're in a relationship with a man who's willing to wait because he values you, he's not looking to get sex anywhere else. He's not looking for that. If he's looking to get married, then what's important to him is not whether or not he's able to sleep with you. What's important to him is who you are, what kind of values you have. Are you all on the same page? Are you compatible? And in areas of money, are you compatible when it comes to how you handle money, your values as it relates to money? Do you have the same faith? Are you compatible there? Do you have the same values? All of those things. What's your family background like? What's his like? Those are the things that men are concerned with. I talk to good brothers. We have different conversations. When I talk to my brothers, we're not having conversations about the women we've slept with and all those different types of things. That's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about building and things like that. We have a totally different conversation. when you're dealing with guys, scoundrels, dudes that's out for other things, they have those types of conversations. So if you're even thinking that way, then you're already positioning yourself to be in a relationship, or assuming that the guy that you're with or the guy that you will meet will be one of those types of guys. And if you're in that type of situation, that's a man that you don't need to be involved with anyway. You don't. So you want to wait for those reasons. You don't want every guy that, well, I wrote this in a post before, that when you get married, you should be able to, a man and woman should be able to share some first. There should be some things that you and that person do together that it's your first time doing that with that other person. And the way a lot of our dating relationships go, you do everything in a dating relationship that you would do if you were married. And marriage and dating should look there. It should be different. They should look different because they are different. When you're dating for the purpose of finding a suitable mate or suitable person to marry. So that should not look like a marriage. There should be certain things that you do in dating that you don't do in marriage, and certain things you do in marriage that you would not do when you're dating, vice versa. So that's your purpose in dating. And if you date 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, depending on how many people you actually date during the course of that period before you actually get married, do we really want to sleep with everybody that led up to us getting married? And then when you get married, there's nothing really special about that time with the person that you're married to. You got to think of some crazy sexual stuff to do just to distinguish that relationship from everyone that came before. So you jokers swinging from the ceiling and all types of crazy stuff because you're trying to capture a moment, a feeling, or something that you haven't done with everybody else. That shouldn't be the case. So you want to wait for those reasons. You want to protect yourself. I mean, obviously outside of the fact that God told you not to, but the reason God tells us not to is not for his benefit. It's for our own, because God knows when a woman and man have sex that it releases endorphins, it releases oxytocin, which causes a woman to bond to the man, just like the same chemical that's released when a woman breastfeeds her child, and it causes you to bond. Well, that makes a woman more vulnerable. And so you want to be protected from that. You want to be protected from that. And you don't want to give that which should be reserved for that one special person that you plan to spend the rest of your life with, that you marry, that you go before God and men in that sacred union and say, I do to this person until death do us part. You want that moment to be special. You want that life with that person to be totally different and above every other relationship that came before that. And I mean, and frankly, we don't deserve that. I have a girlfriend. I'm not her husband. So there's certain things that I don't deserve at this stage of our relationship. I am not her husband. So I don't deserve to have her like I would if I was her husband. I'm not her husband yet. So those are the reasons why you want to wait. You want to wait to protect yourself. You want to wait to save yourself for the person that you'll spend the rest of your life with. And you want to wait because you don't want, because there's the other thing too. When you begin to have sex in a relationship, it clouds your judgment. I mean, it clouds your judgment enough to be emotional, but it clouds your judgment. You're not able to see things clearly. I mean, it's difficult to be, if even possible, to be objective in a relationship when your emotions are engaged. But your emotions are definitely engaged when you begin to have sex with another person. So it puts you in a position where things that you would probably maybe scrutinize or look at differently, you become vulnerable because you're having sex with this person. And especially if, I mean, let's be real about it. If you're having sex with the person and you enjoy having sex, There are a lot of things, other things that you'll kind of let slide, that you'll kind of look over, you'll kind of rationalize because that part of the relationship is good. And then it kind of gives you a false image because when you're dating, sex can be the kind of cure all for everything. So things are not going well in the relationship, you can have sex and it's kind of the remedy for everything. It's not going to be like that when you get married. When I talk to married folks and they're having issues in their relationships, people are not calling, are not saying, "Oh, we're having this problem." They're not sexual problems they're having. Usually, that's the one thing in their relationship that they're not having a problem with. They're having a problem with other things in their relationship, and unlike when they were dating, sex doesn't fix those things. When you're dating, it's like sex is kind of like the band-aid that fixes everything. You can have a gunshot wound, and sex will be that band-aid that fixes that. It's not going to do that. It doesn't do that when people are married. So you want to protect yourself from that too, because it gives a false image. If you're able to, here's the thing. When you're not having sex in your relationship, it causes you to have to find substance. Because think about it, if you're having sex in a relationship, you could be with a person and deal with all type of nonsense because you got that to look forward to. But when you're not having sex in a relationship, why are you there? You're there because you actually care about this person and you found reasons, good reasons, because there's substance there. And you're able to actually build a relationship that's based upon things that you can lay a foundation, a solid foundation, so you can withstand the issues that life will bring your way. Because it's going to bring some real issues your way. But when you're having sex is not gonna sustain everything. It's not. It is not going to sustain everything when during that time where you're dating and you're getting to know the person, you're actually, even at that time, if this is somebody that you end up marrying, you're actually building a foundation during that period that you're dating. And if sex is the foundation you built, you may as well be that person on the beach building a sandcastle that looks really, really good. It's people will look at it, it's like, wow, look at what they're able to build with sand. And they can admire the artwork, how beautiful it looks, the whole nine. But what happened when that tide rolls in? That beautiful sandcastle is gone. And that's the same way that relationship will be when all it is built on things that are superficial or things that are out of context. So hopefully that answers your question. Anybody else, if you have any questions, any topics or things you'd like me to expound upon, if it's something that I wrote on my post. And those of you who may see this on YouTube, it's Derek Q. Sanders. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I write a post every day on relationships. So find me there. If there's something there that you like, you want me to expound upon, please subscribe to my channel, comment, share, the whole nine. Check out my website, www.derekqsanders.com, just like you see my name there. And got a couple books there. Check out my products page. And there you have it. Until the next time, thanks everyone. Have a great night.